well health check process for diagnosing well problems. Everyone, I'm the Groundwater guy, and I'm here today to talk to you about the causes and solutions to declining well performance. So let's kind of dive in here, and we all know there's a lot of things that happen in your well. We're going to focus today primarily on the causes of well plugging because that's what's going to cause a decline in well performance. There's really three primary causes of well plugging. Number one is gravel pack plugging. This is where silt and clay particles, because of the one-way flow of water to wells during the pumping process, those will eventually accumulate in the pore spaces, and it will plug up and to cause a decline in the amount of water flowing to the well through the aquifer. Number two is mineral incrustations. So this can depend on the chemistry of the water. It can be susceptible to certain types of mineral incrustations, but also velocity drop at the well screen can cause minerals to drop out of the water due to that velocity drop and accumulate and form incrustations on the well screen, which will eventually plug them up. And number three is really the biggie, is biofilm accumulation from bacteria in the well. This really accounts for 80% of well plugging cases out there. So it's really a biggie that really needs to be taken into account. This is the biofilm formed by different types of bacteria in the well. Generally, it's going to be an iron-related bacteria, but it could be things like sulfur-reducing bacteria. It could be things like slime-forming bacteria. But biofilm is actually a big factor in well plugging, which means we really need to pay attention to the microbiological aspects of our well water as well. All right, so what are we going to do to assess this? How do we know what the problem actually is? So this is where the well health check problem comes in. And the well health check process is really what we're looking at here is it provides a snapshot of the current condition or health of the well. So we're going to go in and we're going to take some samples. We're going to look at the condition of the well through some other data, and we're going to provide a current snapshot of what's actually going on in that well and diagnose the problems. And then we're going to provide a specific set of actionable recommendations to remedy the identified well issues. All right, so the well health check process really looks at a number of different areas here. Number one is chemical parameters. We're going to take a couple well samples, one right after well startup, one after the well is run for a while, and the first thing we're going to look at is the chemical parameters. These are not going to necessarily be contaminants. We're going to look at chemical factors that can basically indicate problems with that would create mineral incrustations, make things more conducive to developing mineral incrustations, maybe a little more conducive to bacterial growth. Are there certain nutrients in the water that is going to be conducive to bacterial growth? And then finally, when we go to do a well rehab, we're going to be doing some chemistry, and the background chemistry of the well water is really going to affect our dosages that we're going to do for cleaning the well. So these chemical parameters are actually very, very important in a number of aspects when we do the well health check process. Number two, we're going to look at the biological parameters, so aerobic versus anaerobic bacteria, total bacteria counts in the well, and then the specific types of bacteria. So we're actually going to even get down to speciating the bacteria so we know exactly what we're dealing with, and we can come up with specific recommendations on addressing those issues in the well. Number three, we're going to look at physical parameters. These are things like going to be pump performance, wire to water efficiencies, specific capacity, electrical use that could indicate plugging, and these trends over time, and basically how quickly the well is plugging up. They're going to be indicated by these physical parameters. And lastly, we're going to look at operating data. So if there's well videos available, we're going to look at that. We're going to look at past well rehab efforts and how successful those have been, what was done, any operating data such as sampling. We're going to look at all that data, and we're going to meld all that together, and we're going to assess the current condition of the well based on the results of the testing that we've done, the 2 water samples we've collected, and the data analysis. Once that's done, is we're going to have well-specific recommendations that are developed based on the data evaluation. These are going to be well-specific. It's not going to be one size fits all, because wells are like people. They're going to be different, and we want to develop specific recommendations to deal with the problem in that well. So when we get to the well rehab process, it's not a one size fits all process. We see a lot of problems with that out there, where people go out and do well rehab. They spend a lot of money on rehab, and they have not designed their well rehab program for the conditions that are present in that specific well, and they run into problems. They end up wasting their money. So let's just look at an example here. And if we looked at an example on the left, these are from screen captures from well videos down the well. And what we're really seeing on the left here should look a lot like what's on the right. But unfortunately, this particular well has a lot of calcium carbonate deposition in there. And what we have on the right side of this picture is the turbine pump. These are the pump bowls. Looks like a big stalactite. And on the left side of that picture, we have the actual well screen, which should look like what's the picture on the right. So we're seeing a lot of calcium carbonate accumulation in here, a little bit of iron staining. But mainly this is calcium carbonate accumulation. And the point I want to make here is this particular well was actually rehabbed not long before this video was taken. So clearly, they did not do a decent job on the well rehab, because they did not design a program that was specific to the conditions in the well. So basically, they spent a bunch of money on that well rehabilitation. The problem comes right back because they did not address things properly. So this is, if it gets expensive to rehab a well, you want to make sure you have the prescriptive analysis you need to get the job done right. So let's look at a hypothetical case and the benefits we can actually get from doing regular well rehab and doing it properly. So this is a hypothetical situation. On the x-axis here, we have time in 5-year increments. On the y-axis, we have specific capacity, which is really measured in gallons per minute, pumping rate per foot of drawdown. That's a good way of measuring the capacity of a well. So what we're really looking at here is we see the blue dots here actually indicate the specific capacity in that well at that point in time. And we can see, starting on the left here, we can see declining performance in this well till we get down to where we have that little star down there, which indicates they did a well rehab. We rehab, we get back, we restore most of the performance in that well, then we start the process over again. So we want to look at two trends here. We want to look at the short-term trend, which we can see what would happen here if we follow this arrow and take it down to its logical conclusion of zero capacity. We can see that we really don't get much life out of this well if we've never rehabbed it. On the other hand, if we're doing our well rehab on a proper cycle, we're looking at the long-term trend here, and we can see that we can get 4 to 5 times the life out of this well by doing regular well rehabs, as indicated by our well health check process. So this is really, really important. A new municipal well can cost $1 million to $1.5 million in a lot of cases. So replacing your well every 10 to 20 years really is probably not a good option when you can invest in the well rehabilitation, a proper well rehabilitation, and make your well last much longer than that. So, all right. So what does this whole process cost you? So let's look at the pricing here. Generally, we're charging $4,500 for a well health check. That's including the laboratory analytical costs. Now, these costs typically fall within utility discretionary spending limits, which means you're not going to have to bid this out. You can get going on this today, get the process going to look at your well, look at the health of your well, what needs to be done, and what your recommendations are for well rehabilitation to restore that capacity in your well. One thing we do is we provide some extra value to our clients. We've looked at what they're asking for, and we've gone ahead and provided some extra value in these reports. So besides just the recommendations, we're actually also going to provide an analysis of the remaining well lifespan. So we're going to look at the factors, the videos, and all our data, and kind of give you an idea of how much lifespan is left on that well. This is important, as I indicated. Replacing a well is actually pretty darn expensive. So having an idea of when you need to get the capital costs together in order to replace this well actually aids in your planning and your asset management program. The other thing we do is after the well rehabilitation is complete and we've restored the capacity, now you want to implement your optimal well performance plan, and we provide this. This is a set of recommendations for going forward after you've done your well rehabilitation that allow you to optimize your performance over time, when to rehab, what things to check, what parameters to monitor over time so that you can make sure your well is operating optimally so that you get the maximum lifespan out of your well. So these are some extra values we provide in our well health check report. So if you're interested in proceeding, you can get a hold of me. My contact information is below. You can actually book a call with me. I'd love to talk to you about your situation. So give me a call today and let's get things going here.